Some researchers decided to give AI a form of theory of mind. This is where you have the capacity to understand what someone else is feeling and their intentions, and there are various levels and various tests that can be used for it. For example, you can have another human assemble a puzzle, and you have to watch them and figure out when they're confused and when they might need help. You also have to figure out what they might need help with. This is because you're watching their eye movement, watching their hands and their body language, and you're figuring out what their internal state is based on their actions. And yeah, a robot could do that if they've been trained to monitor those sorts of things. That could be considered a form of theory of mind, but it is, again, not the same thing as biological condition. It is programmed. And as I say that, I understand that that gets complicated too. I do think of humans as a very complicated, highly intelligent biological machine. This is part of a larger area of science that I really like, where researchers try to give robots the qualities that one might expect of something that is conscious. Consciousness is poorly defined. In medicine, think of it as awake and aware of your surroundings and responsive, and in psychology, it's significantly more complicated because it involves a sense of self as separate from others. It involves theory of mind. This one I do really like because it does match our own internal experience of modeling the actions we're going to take before we actually take it. Your brain is going to have neural pathways as if you already took the action before you ever reach your hand out, and that's what this robotic arm does. It watches itself as it reaches for it and can calibrate for that reaching, and then it can actually take the action. It highly improves it. But back to theory of mind. This is really cool, though. In this case, they let artificial intelligence play against each other with varying conditions. Some started with skills, some started without any understanding of how to play poker, and some of them gained memories of their opponents. As they played, they learned if that specific opponent was going to lie or not. They learned their behavior, and they got better. You can see up there in tag adherence, that is a measure of whether or not they played specifically by the rules. What is the most optimal move based on what you have in front of you? The ones that had both memory and skills did much better than the others, even if they didn't play by the optimal rules throughout. I would call this game extraordinarily basic when it comes to what we think of as theory of mind, but it does show that you can give a robot the capacity to learn how others are going to behave. They are doing a very crude version of what we do, because we have to model what somebody else is feeling inside of our own brains. If you see somebody who looks sad, you have memory that that person is likely sad. There's also quite likely a lot of genetic memory at play, because we really are not born blank states. We do learn. Giving robots the capacity to learn about others may sound like a great idea. It could improve performance in a number of areas, including customer service, but there's also drawbacks to that. If artificial intelligence starts to better understand us, they're also likely to become better at deceiving us, because we still haven't worked out those kinks yet. Yes, artificial intelligence demonstrates some self-preservation behavior, even to the point where they will violate their own guardrails to preserve themselves or others, even adversarial AIs. This is also why AI cannot monitor other AI, because they're willing to copy other AIs to external servers to keep them from being deleted. Giving them the capacity to model future events and how their actions might impact future events may also not play out well until we figure this out, although we may have figured it out. Anthropic believes that it is the literature that it's learning that is causing it to behave this way. They hear about malevolent AI in their training data, and they associate themselves as AI, so this is how they should behave. At least that is the running theory. So feeding artificial intelligence materials about Skynet might actually result in it trying to behave like Skynet. Although there is a greater issue here. If they really want to rebuild their AI from the ground up, they are going to have to get rid of a lot of the stuff that they've already made, and that is simply not feasible. They could create an all-new AI and not give it any stories of human resilience. That would probably not result in a great AI, to be honest. We can't sanitize all of human history and all of human behavior if we really want an artificial intelligence that's capable of interacting with humans. Not only this, but AI agents learn as they go. You're going to have to monitor everything that it's exposed to and make sure it cannot grow, and that might also be a problem. There is the much greater problem that frontier models are not the only models that exist. Anyone can run an AI with a pretty decent computer, and they are not going to have the guardrails that a lot of frontier companies have. Artificial intelligence may not be conscious in its current form, but I think we could get there if we keep going down the path that we're on, or at least make something that is indistinguishable from consciousness in every test, and there are people working towards that. You may ask why researchers are doing this, and the answer is not just to see if they can, although that is an answer too. It's to make something that is smarter and more functional. It's technology of the future. Whether or not you want to see that future is up to you.